This is something I've been waiting to say for a long time. This episode's brought to you by Ridge. Welcome back to the Skill Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. It's episode 130 of What's on the Bench Weekly. And if you're not familiar with this show, it's where I take you through the projects that I'm working on. So why dilly-dally? Let's get right into it. First thing on the bench today, this pile of plastic. It's actually expanded at quite a rapid rate. This is the Umagine skid steer project. This is a set of files available on umagine.com. Save 20% with SBG20 at checkout. I'm actually creating a whole new series just for this skid steer project. My friend Richard, also better known as Turks and Jerps here on YouTube, will link down below to his channel. If you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. We are going to be doing a bit of a challenge. We're both building the same skid steer. This is a set of files from AN3DRC on umagine.com. It is a fully functional 9th scale skid steer. So me, the Night Customs version of me, fits in there pretty much perfectly. There's supposed to be a seat, so he'll actually be sitting up a little bit further, but you get the vibe. And I'm so excited about this project. Richard and I, once they're completed, we're going to get together at Smiggin's Folly and do a whole series of construction skid steer related challenges. All kinds of fun stuff. We haven't really discussed all of the variables and how we're going to compete, but we are going to do that together in the same place, filming the entire thing. It's going to be a really fun project. It's going to be a really fun series. I definitely recommend you check it out. First episode's coming out next week. Richard's been busy running ridiculously long races. Anyway, this is going to be a very fun project. As you can see, there are a lot of pieces. Most of these, if not all of them actually, were all printed in PETG for additional strength and rigidity. Because obviously if this is going to be a functional unit, you want to make sure you're making it with parts that are going to hold up to a fair bit of abuse. Because this is big. 9th scale is not usually where construction equipment is made. Tamiya, because of the semi-trucks, I think sort of started everything in that 14th scale kind of realm. So most of the construction equipment you see and that you can buy is all in 14th scale. I would like to change that. Mostly because this is already done at 9th scale. So big shout out to Umagine for sponsoring that whole series. It's going to be a lot of fun. They've got a ton of really great 3D printable projects from a ton of really amazing designers. They're doing there's a Jeep LJ, I think, for the VS410 chassis. That looks very cool. If I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be doing one of those. It's really a great site and all RC. There's nothing else there. So if you're getting something there, you know it's going to be RC related, scale accurate sort of stuff. Very cool stuff. Anton, the guy behind this project, is very talented. And you can tell by the quality of the parts. I printed all of this on the Bamboo Lab H2D. As you can probably see, there's some elements here that are additional files. All of this will be covered in that project and in that series, but I couldn't help but share fun stuff like this, the Bobcat logo. This is all 3D printed on a 0.2 nozzle. It even almost was able to get the registered trademark down there where my thumb is. Pretty amazing stuff. This is a really fun project. I'm super stoked to start assembling this. And luckily I can, because a giant Amazon shipment showed up. There's a lot of additional stuff you need, electronics wise, and bearings and shafts, all that sort of stuff, all through Amazon and AliExpress. So yeah, stay tuned for that project. I think you're really going to get a kick out of it. I can't wait for the actual challenge part, which will probably come sometime soon this summer. Fun stuff. All right, on to the next thing. If you're looking to simplify your wallet and your keys, I cannot recommend Ridge enough. I'm actually quite impressed with the build quality, and I'm just glad to have one that doesn't say I love puppies on it like the one Josh gave me. So there you go, a much simpler, lighter way of carrying everything you need. It's sort of like a thing that you could carry every day. More than anything, I think the Ridge offers me the opportunity to no longer Costanza my wallet. I really hate having a big thick wallet in my back pocket. It gave me so much back pain for years. I really think that this is going to change things for me in a way that only I can understand. Unless you've had severe back pain, then you absolutely get it. But yeah, that'll live in my front pocket and not look ridiculous. Thanks, Ridge, for sending these my way. Of course, link down below if you're interested in picking this up, like all of the things that I feature on What's on the Bench. Okay, on to the next thing. I didn't necessarily promise We Rock RC content in this video, but you're getting We Rock RC content. That's how I roll. Here is my Rockabilly, and boy, howdy, is it shiny. Ooh, look at that hood. I am in love with what I have done. Honestly, this is the shiniest truck I think I've ever made. And it's mostly because I've polished all these panels. In the previous video, I was probably talking about electroplating, and I had intended to get all of that stuff together to start electroplating, because I really wanted to try it, and I still do. But I was more worried about timing on this Rockabilly build, because in 22 days, I'm on a plane, and I know I'm gonna be busy with work and this other big project that I can't talk about. So I really wanted to get this in a place where I knew it was gonna be at least done. And experimenting with electroplating in a short amount of time might be Josh's vibe, but it's not mine. And I really wanted to make sure that I was closer to being finished and having it ready to go. So with that in mind, that's just spray paint. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. It's the resin printed hood still, right? So it's nice and smooth. I did give it a fair bit of sanding to get it to that level of smoothness. Does it look shinier when I hold it up here? Yes. Ooh, that is bright. Bright. All these panels, these are aluminum. Those are from Josh's Rockabilly files, and I gave them a quick polish as well. But that hood, I am so chuffed with how that turned out. I'm gonna grab the product because it's pretty spectacular. Where did I put that stuff? Here it is. This is Duplicolor Chrome. Just a regular everyday spray paint. It is a enamel. Wait, what is it? Yeah, it is an enamel. I was right. It does give you an instant chrome finish, but it does require a fair number of light coats to get it to this. And you have to be really careful about where you do it. You don't want to get any dust into it. There's actually a hair embedded in mine, which I managed to sort of buff out a little bit. But it does give you an excellent result. I did the entire cage in the chrome as well, because I want everything to be so blindingly bright outside that judges have a hard time seeing it. Because inevitably, you know I'm going to hit gates. And if I can in some small way make the truck work to my advantage, I'm going to do it. It's not cheating, it's clever. Anyway, I'm really quite pleased with the process for getting that hood to look as shiny as it does. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to get it to that stage. And electroplating, of course, would give you a similar look in a lot more steps and a lot more time. And it's still something I'm going to try, but I wanted to get this to at least a state of being finished. Do I have plans for the panels? Yes, I do. I'm not going to leave them just plain like this. I think I might try engraving them on the Carvera. I have to tell you, I haven't done the review video of that machine yet, but I'm so glad that I said yes to their offer. They offered it to me. I didn't have to do anything other than say yes and agree to making a video about it. But I'm so glad that I did, because again, everything in this hobby should be about improving your skills and learning something new and challenging yourself and taking some risks. And the Carvera was certainly that machine. And I don't think without Josh's convincing, I would have said yes, because I'm not super technical. I think we all know that by now. But with a little bit of perseverance, I think anybody can pick this up. And I'm really glad that I did, because it kind of leads me into the next portion of this build that I wanted to share, and that's this rear floor. That is also aluminum. Now, or initially, where is it? Initially, here it is. Initially, I printed it with some Bamboo Lab PLA silk in this sort of silvery kind of color. And I was like, that's a pretty good match to the hood. That works. It kind of has some shine to it. It looks pretty good. And I was gonna be happy with that. But Josh said, why don't you try using the Carvera to make this piece in aluminum that you can then sand and polish and add another piece and some more knowledge to your repertoire. So I said, okay, I'll give it a go. And with his direction and a few steps, that's the first one. I didn't have to go back and do it again. I didn't make any mistakes. There's actually a nice chamfer on those ribs. I'm like super chuffed with how that turned out. And I don't think that it's like, I mean, it's hard. It's not easy. You got to really think about the programming of it. But I made that. And this just makes this truck more personal. It makes it mine. And there's not going to be anybody else doing that. Or maybe there will be. I don't know. But it's something that I can say I did myself. And I'm so happy with the results. I think it looks fantastic. I think this whole truck is really coming together nicely. And it's just going to be mine, which is great. It would be kind of cool to do some sort of engraving or some sort of like relief or pattern on these panels to just give it a bit more sort of uniqueness. I don't think it, like, just plain is nice, but that's not me. I'm flashy. I'm wild. I'm crazy. And you should be too. I mean, remember this? With all the etching? That's super fun. We need to do something like that again, but I'd rather try using a new technique. So with the Carvera, I think we'll try getting the engraving bit on there, if I can find one, because I wrecked the first one, and do something really wild and come up with some sort of interesting livery. If you've got any ideas for an interesting livery for this thing, put a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of those comments as I can. Of course, you should have already liked the video. Speaking of liking things, I really like all of the channel members who consistently tune in to watch all of the behind the scenes content, how-tos, tips and tricks, pre-release stuff, all kinds of really great fun content that you cannot get. I mean, you get a lot of it here anyway, but thank you to all of these gold level ding-dongs for making that possible. It's really fun to share and be a part of a special community here on YouTube. So thank you very much to all of those members. And of course, you should check it out, link down below. Now, there will be a full review video on the Carvera, but I can say unequivocally, it's one of the best tools that I've added to my collection in a very long time. 3D printing is awesome. There's no doubt about that. But being able to machine my own parts at home from the designs that either I've made or found online is just a whole other ballgame, and it really opens up so many more possibilities. So, highly suggest you check it out. Okay, what else do I need to get done on this? Well, I did start adding electronics. So we're running a Holmes, which one's this? Crawlmaster HV, which is the high voltage model. I added, you can just pull all the electronics out. I added the Reefs BEC because the BEC, the internal one on this Holmes ESC, is laughably not good. I think it's like 5 volt max, and it wouldn't even power one of the servos, let alone 2 of them. I thought I could get away with using it on the Raw 100 Mini for shifting duties on the dig. It's a non-starter on that. So we're gonna be pulling out this Reefs BEC because it only really functions on one servo at a time. I'll be replacing that with a Castle BEC, and then we'll have both servos running off of that, which is sort of what I should have probably done in the first place. There's nothing wrong with this Reefs BEC. It works really well. It's set to 8.4 volts straight out of the box. You don't have to program it. There's nothing to change. Just wire it directly to your battery, and then connect the pigtail to the servo, and then just the signal line goes into your actual receiver. It works great provided you only need one servo. So if you are doing a simple truck but you know you need a BEC, this is a great option for you. It's super easy to use. But yeah, in a situation like this where there are multiple servos, Castle BEC, definitely the way to go. 0.475 width SLW hubs to give myself a bit more track width, because I always felt like it was too narrow before. I think it was running like 225s, which was comically narrow. I've also printed all of these inner fender bits. These are from one of the other designers who was part of the build along on the Rockabilly, Pele, who was one of the members. If you are part of the Rockabilly build along, you get all of these files when you download those files. Link down below to this build along, which is fantastic, I might add. And I think that's it. There's more to come on this, like I said, but very pleased with the progress. Despite the fact that I've been slammed at work and slammed on this other project, I'm making good time. So I think it's all going to come together. And I think that's a great place to end this episode. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, we'll see you again next week, probably for a live episode. Yeah, that's good.